Okay, here we are. Okay. Let's do that one first. Then we'll do some other ones. But first, we're gonna do this one.
Give us this day our daily bread. Lead us not into temptation. Forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us too. Deliver us not to the judgment. Save us from the evil one. Forever and always. Amen on that. can make your piano tune. You can sing it anyway. Can't use your phone if you're not really. What was that? Sorry about that. Daily I pray to the Lord of the living, Lord of the living alone. All the day with the Lord of the living, Lord of the living alone. Holy angel, sing me to my rest, the glorious angel. Jesus breath. Yea, as we walk by the riverside, sing glory to God on high, washing our sins in the rising tide. Glory to God on high. And holy angel, sing me to my rest, the glorious apparition. Follow me to Jesus' breast. I don't remember what I was thinking about earlier, but this evolution thing is really huge. It's just absolutely huge. It's the evolution is the reason I couldn't believe in the Bible. It's that simple. Now they come across like evolution. All the books that they have on it, I could show you in my room right now. The 1,000 I have, not 1,000 on evolution, but probably 20 or 30 or more. I keep 2 gallons, one for guests, rarely have, and one that I drink out of. It's bacteria. You use a bunch of glasses, here's how everything works. Bacteria surround everything. They glow from every surface, everywhere, including yourself. Millions, billions, zillions of bacteria that nobody studies or knows really much about. They just started breaking into this, okay? They'd rather pick on evolution. So bacteria is everywhere. So if you use glasses all the time, you pour from one container into a glass full of bacteria. So there's twice the bacteria you're getting. My dad used to say that about milk, and he was right. My dad was a smart guy. He really was. He thought. He used his brain to think a lot. He became a chemical engineer by experience. Pardon me. And he was pretty good at it. I mean, he had a depth of knowledge of chemistry that most chemists don't have. The man was bordering on genius and suffered his whole life. I mean, suffered. This man suffered for women. He suffered for his lust after women. It destroyed him. Nearly destroyed me. It nearly destroyed me. The only thing you should lust after is the truth. And the only thing you should find at the end of that road is Jesus Christ. It's that simple. It took me 50 years to figure that out. I didn't figure anything out. I'm sorry. That's a stupid thing to say. It didn't take me 50 years to figure that, or 60 years. It took 60 years for me to drop my obstacles to believing God. I mean, believing that God is and am, and believing that Jesus Christ is, am. I saw that I saw the Leonardo da Vinci image. It's looks pretty bad to me. I gotta tell you, it looks bad. Jesus doesn't need all kinds of pictures of faces hanging on him. He don't. The Last Supper, he doesn't need any help. Jesus didn't need any help with the Last Supper, believe me. Doesn't need Leonardo's help with it. Leonardo may have been the devil, I don't know, but he didn't need Leonardo's help in any way, shape, or form. In the first place, Leonardo da Vinci was not a Christ child. He wasn't. Look it up. All of his notebooks has got nothing to do with Christ in there. Nothing. He sits there and tries to, and he does a pretty good job at it. He tries to put manpower behind everything. Okay, good for you. It only gets you so far. Now, I think there's a huge difference between him and Michelangelo. Michelangelo was tortured with his sin. I don't think Leonardo thought anything of it. He thought his genius made him righteous.
Amen. Anyway, evolution. Here we go. Evolution is so huge because it keeps people from believing in the Bible. It would have been so easy for me to make that little jump from Jesus because I knew Jesus was true. And I just could not suffer the Old Testament because I couldn't suffer it through the eyes of evolution, being a monkey like we all are, and like they've convinced us, like they, here's the way they look at this leaky, Australopithecines and the Neanderthals and all these different things they have living here. Now, they've already concluded they're correct. Already concluded that they're correct with the evolutionary thing. So now they're just piling the evidence on top of their proven theory. There's nothing proven about this evolutionary theory. What's proven about it is that it's wrong. And I can't say this enough times over and over again. You can look it up. Crick is the guy who discovered DNA. He's a smart guy. He read it, the first one to read DNA. And what he read in it was this. The chance of DNA happening naturally happening by chance in a warm little pond or a black smoker or anywhere, for DNA to come from nowhere, to accrue, or however they want to call it, it's impossible. It's a 10 with a million zeros behind it. It's just impossible. DNA can't come from nowhere. It can't build up incrementally. It just can't do it. It's too complicated. It's impossible. DNA is what everything needs to replicate itself and make a new copy. And then they've discovered with the Hox genes, they can move legs around on a fruit fly. And, but that's it. They can just play with the stuff that's there. They can't make any, and they can't, monkey with it too hard, but they can. The point is, the science, God bless it, essence, and God curse what it has become. Well, he already has, and that's already happened, and it's not a prognostication on my behalf. Evolution was never proved. They've never found a missing link. And the stupid thing is, if there's little kinds of, shooting off, man, how come there isn't offshoots right now? How come there isn't things developing into something else that we can see? There's no half human, half animals, or animals that are starting to, grow fingers. Or there's just nothing like that going on anywhere. And these, as hard as we look for bones and everything else, we have never found any tribes or any mass of people. I mean, Africa, anything could happen. People could have had sex with monkeys, I guess, and threw off a couple of these things. But they cannot show any development from these 8 bones they have. They're so desperate that the Chinese guy had fooled everybody in the scientific community by gluing a monkey's jaw onto a freaking human skull. And that was the at that point when that came out, and I'm not echoing this off the internet. This is stuff I found and understand on my own. But it fooled the entire, because they're so hungry for more evidence. Like, even though they claim that it's already proven, and they teach it as proven in school, evolution, which is just bullshit. Forgive me. But it's a lie. It's so annoying to me that they keep publishing this lie over and over again. It couldn't have happened. Darwin said that if any part of my theory is proved wrong, the whole thing falls. But he knew it was wrong. It looks good on paper, but in reality, it's bogus. The simple fact is, and I didn't see this on the internet either. Well, I did. Ken Hoving helped me immensely. I learned a lot of, I'm not talking about this evolution thing, but through Ken, I learned about that other guy who found the crossing of the Red Sea, and he found the Ark of the Covenant, and I believe it all to be true. How could it not be true? If I had gone to Jerusalem, I would have, if I had known all the story, I would have said, it's got to be here. It's got to be here. Jeremiah hit it, obviously, boing. But I didn't know my Bible because I didn't want to read the Old Testament because evolution told me it was impossible. And with billions of years, It's a bigger stretch of the imagination to believe in evolution than it is to believe in the Bible. It takes more faith to believe in evolution, which is the stupidity of man never ceases to amaze man. That's probably one of the truest statements ever made. The stupidity and gullibility of man never ceases to astonish man. And then they pull this gullibility thing, but Jesus, why wouldn't you want to believe in something like this? This is heaven. This understanding, this philosophy, everything to do with Jesus Christ is gorgeous. It's magnificent beauty. I've I mean, forget about all these movies and books, insanity. Forget about this. I haven't read every one and I haven't seen every movie, but I've gone through most of them. And I'll tell you what, every book in here is personally picked out by me. It's going to be personally thrown out by me as well too. But and these books. When I was evicted from my last place in Asbury Park a couple of years ago, I mean, due to the fact that I fell down the stairs, which were full of ice, and broke my freaking ribs, and the guy, after I was evicted, all my stuff went out on the front lawn where people rifled through it, which always happens. But the law is they're supposed to hold it for 30 days. But do you think they enforce those kind of laws? No, because they're all about the people with money, the people who pay taxes in that town. What they don't realize, those guys wouldn't be able to pay those taxes if we didn't pay the rent. And this guy who took over the place that I lived in Asbury Park, this is a criminal. In fact, being poor is a crime in this country. It really is. It's almost like Jack London in London during the 20s or 30s. I don't remember exactly. It might have been during the 20s or even before that. Jack London, there was a tide of homeless in England, and he went and lived among them and wrote a book. The People of the Abyss, it was called. Jack London wrote, The Call of the Wild, a lot of great short stories, The 100,000, Cool Al the Leper, a lot of South Sea stories were, the man is a genius, and his stories were, he got paid $1 million a story. That's how the stories were. He was the highest paid writer of his day, but he also wrote some social. He was a communist, but he was a high ideal communist. The kind, if everybody was like Jack London, communism would work. But they're not like Jack London, they're like Joseph Stalin. So communism just collects everybody in one place. You can murder them easier. Like any totalitarian system. When you have a totalitarian system, it means that they can be pissed off as hell at anybody they choose to be pissed off as hell at. They can collect them up into one place and then systematically murder them to eliminate them from their sight, because that's what an abomination their presence is to people who hate. People who hate, the object of their hatred is an abomination to them. Like a dog is an abomination to an Islamist. At least, I'd really like to look into that more. But the woman who was dragged off the airplane because she said she was allergic to the caregiver's dog, which was a lie. She wasn't allergic, because Muslims can't be near dogs. But she chose to represent her religion and her PhD in women's studies, as she's a professor, which makes her also responsible to people around her, because she's teaching them. That's one of the biggest responsibilities, and it's bigger than a doctor. And we show what we think about our educational system by paying the teachers a non-living wage. See, the teachers are poor, just like us, but they have high ideals, and the trouble is, they're killing our kids. They're destroying the children. They've already destroyed the children. They've destroyed how many generations since they took God out of school? Wasn't that the Stokes monkey trial with a movie called Inherit the Wind? And the funny thing is, I lived in his house. I lived in the house, the big pink house. I guess may not have been pink when he made it, but he was the biggest Methodist preacher there was. It was William Cullen Bryant, and he had millions of followers, just like Rabbi Kaduri. He chose to. He was an attorney as well, and Clarence Darrow, I guess it was, who was his nemesis. Now Darrow, they would want you to think that the old stuffed shirt. Plus it was hot as it was Hades in that church, or in the church of public opinion there, in the court. And Darren Stevens from Bewitched played the hapless imbecile that started teaching evolution in school, and he was going to be, I'm sure there was people, man, that wanted to kill that man, and they should have. But of course, it would have continued on, and because it's all of a sudden got the attention of all the big minds of the day, because man had created its own light. You didn't have to rely on killing whales anymore to get good light. You see, whale oil was the best light. So that's why they killed all those whales. The rest of it were just byproducts. All they really wanted was the whale oil. That was the expensive deal. Whale tongues, and you got all that other crap that they sell up. But initially it was the oil to sell for lamps, so they have light. So when man made his own light, I guess he became his own god. The funny thing is Edison, who made the first light bulb, was a skunk. Tesla was a pure genius. He really was pure. Edison was a pure skunk. Now, I was always brought up to believe Edison was a genius and a great man. Well, he had no genius except in advertising. And the fact that he killed all those animals trying to prove that DC was safer than AC, which was a lie. And, at least he didn't murder any men that we know of. Well, not deliberately and directly, but he did it intentionally because he knew how dangerous DC was, and he was ready to give it to everybody and start electrocuting people. So Thomas Edison, a murderer, is what he was. A blind, careless murderer. Doesn't care. Life meant nothing to him. It was all about money. My dad, the same way. Life, nothing, money, everything. Money, everything, kids. I love one of them. The other one is a piece of shit. I don't even think he's mine. I remember my grandmother, even up till I was 10 years old, until she died. She'd make a statement like, I'd be there, leaning over the refrigerator. The light must have hit my head a certain way, but she was right. My head did look red in certain angles, whatever. But I'm pretty sure I'm my dad's kid. I just didn't have his philosophy at all. Exact opposite. But anyway, my grandma would say things. She hated us. She hated the fact that my dad divorced his first wife because they were Jews and rich and all this other stuff. And he had 2 kids and he never went to go see whatever. Anyway, it's my mother he fell in love with, and she took off after. You see, my brother had no. I was thinking about this. My brother used to beat me up, and he was a real mean son of a bitch. And we're trying to think why he was so mean, and it wasn't because my mother left. He was mean before she left. That we were 2 years, 3 years old, whatever it was. He was a prick before she left, so forget that. He was just a mean kid. And they were pumping into him that he's the Kaiser and all this other stuff. That didn't help at all. They get this portrait painted in a bullfighter's outfit, which probably cost a couple $1,000 in and of itself. How do you get a friggin' dwarf bullfighter's outfit? I don't know. They got one. And that painting was kept for the longest time. I don't even know what eventually happened to it. They kept that painting around, through fire and flood and angry mobs. And he also had the painting from my mother, Hayakawa. Some Japanese actor painted this portrait. It had been through fire, flood, and mobs too. There wasn't much left of that. But these guys held on to these stupid paintings for the longest time. I don't understand it. And then the pictures of us when we were little kids. I'll show you that one day. But the danger of evolution, destroying kids all over the place. You know how many children and young men and women fell to the fantasy, the fallacy, the of evolution to show us. The first place is survival of the fittest means we're in direct competition with our children. Direct competition with everybody around us, but survival for the fittest. That's like the Quran. I'm not kidding. In fact, you will know the devil when he speaks that way. You'll know the devil because man is God to the devil. Man is not God. Anything that removes God from the pyramid, you know, upside down pyramids, Da Vinci was Satan. It's that simple. Da Vinci was Satan. You know, it was disturbing to see those images. Now, I thought we were going to get to see something cool, you know, like, I don't know. But we didn't get to see anything cool. What I saw, I didn't like. You know, I liked it better when they put the, you know, with the color off it and everything. I like it that way. In fact, I might like it better destroyed altogether. And Mona Lisa, that thing has bothered me ever since the first time I saw it. There is nothing good looking about that woman. Mona Lisa? Holy crow! It's like I think it's a man. I really do. But I don't even think it's a man. I think it's an animal. I think it's an animal. I think that anybody who thinks the Mona Lisa is pretty or seductive or anything along those lines is into bestiality. I don't think that. I mean, I just came up with that. I'm not saying it's a philosophy of mine. It just popped into my head. I have to assess it later. I don't know why it popped in there, but usually God's popping things in there lately. But he's not going to give us razor blades to play with. Not going to do it. If he gave me money, I'd be dead. If I had money, I'd be dead. Yeah, when I had money, 60 grand, I don't even want to tell you. Like, I don't even want to talk about it. I spent that money as fast as I could. It was like poison to me. It was poison. I spent, because I couldn't get more than $400 a day out of the cash machine, so I can only spend $400 a day. So I spent $400 a day for, it was like winning the lottery, you know, $400 a day as long as you spend every penny. That's funny. It's exactly like that, too. Exactly. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. And the simple fact is Jesus' parables. His parables are they're all works of art. When you look into Jesus' parables or the Bible talking about one thing or another, it all overlaps. It the beauty of the repetition, but it's not repetition. It's repetition like music. Like music, the gift of music. Think about it.
without him. What I did from. Roots in my head. Why don't you stay? Will I just moving on? Curiosity to know. Don't look behind you. Keep your eyes ahead. If you look down inside you, you'll see all the dead. So I'll be seeing you many a day. All voices and Jesus is King. His judgment is righteous. I beg you to pray.
There is nothing better than loving the Lord in music and song. Well, I think we may find something better coming up. And that will be the rapture.